What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Vover Tuesday NBA show. It's the off season. We're just short of training camp. It's a lull. But as we know, there's never a slow news day in the NBA, and today is another one of those days. Ben Simmons has officially requested a trade out of Philadelphia. I think everybody pretty much knew that Ben Simmons was not going to play for the 76ers this season, and that trade was just a matter of not if, but when. But obviously in the midst of the draft, it didn't happen. It hadn't happened yet this summer, and now he says he will not report to training camp and would like to formally request and force a trade. Question is, still, when does that happen and where does Ben Simmons go? I want to say this about Simmons. We're prisoners of the moment a little bit. This guy's extremely talented. He's incredibly talented on the defensive end. He's been a huge part of where the 76ers were this last season and lately. But I do hope that Ben Simmons is locked in the gym somewhere this season and maybe with a sports psychologist working on his issues shooting and what seems to be in his head, because from what we all know, the guy can hit shots in an open gym, and there's a lot of players that can do that but get under the lights and can hear the voices in their head. So I think Ben Simmons will be fine. I think a fresh start is exactly what Ben Simmons needs. We have to remember this guy is an all-star. He has always been heralded as somebody with a really bright future, and I think that's still the case, but it'll be nice for him to get a start somewhere else. With that said, where is that somewhere else? Teams that have been in the conversation include the Kings, the Wolves, the Warriors, the Cavs, Toronto. The Sixers have made it pretty clear they want a star. And it makes you wonder, are they asking for the value of Ben Simmons or the perceived value of Ben Simmons? Because the value of Ben Simmons coming off last playoffs is probably a bit lower than the perceived value of Ben Simmons. I think there was a while there that the 76ers were rumored to be holding out for Dame to request a trade out of Portland to do a Ben Simmons, Damian Lillard trade of sorts, which would be obviously bringing a star point guard into the system, a great fit for them, somebody who I think obviously would bring a ton to that team. But Dame has said multiple times now that he, at least for now, is not leaving Portland. Portland is continuing to build their franchise around Damian Lillard, and he will not be requesting a trade anytime soon. So with that out, the other teams we can look at are the Kings. Ben Simmons has said that he would like to go to a California team. Whether the Kings are one of those California teams he's referring to, I don't know. But I don't know, without giving up De'Aaron Fox, I think De'Aaron Fox would have to be on the move in order for the Kings to acquire Ben Simmons, which would make them an incredibly good defensive team. Obviously, they have the addition of their draft pick, Davion Mitchell. We saw what he was able to do in Summer League. He is somebody who makes them exponentially better on the defensive end. They have Tyrese Halliburton, who last year was the 12th pick in the first round for them and had a pretty stellar rookie season. I don't know what the Kings trade looks like without another team, but I do think that one right now appears to be maybe the most serious. Another team that's been in the conversation is the Timberwolves, and another team that I don't know if they have anything intriguing enough to make that trade without a third team. Shams had reported that same thing. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels are names that have come up in the trade, but none of them solo are enough to get Philadelphia to move. So then you say, does a third team come into play? I think an interesting team to look at in any of these three-team trades is Toronto. There was talk about OG or Fred VanVleet, but also, there's been a ton of trade rumors about Pascal Siakam. I think that Toronto has room to make moves and people who they'd be willing to move if the fit was correct. But I don't see this being a direct trade with the Sixers. I think that would include a third team somewhere as well. Another team in the conversation has been the Golden State Warriors. And honestly, I don't hate that. You have two guys in Clay and Steph that obviously spread the floor. The three-point shooting is not necessarily a concern there. And then if you have Ben Simmons to add on the defensive end and also as a great distributor with those two guys, he really could be a wonderful fit in the Warriors and honestly a good franchise for him to kind of get his head right and get his game turned back around. But it does seem that, they have 2 lottery picks that a lot of people thought they would trade. And instead of trading, they got Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, who looked great in Summer League. I think the team is high on their future. Not saying they're untouchable in a trade, but I do think that it have to be something intriguing enough to let go of 2 pieces who they already have pretty high hopes for and who they see a lot of potential in. So I think Golden State is a team worth keeping an eye on there. And then the Cavs, Kevin Love, is there a trade option? Is Kevin Love out in Cleveland? Could he be? But I don't know that the Sixers don't need a Kevin Love. Sexton is somebody who's always in the conversation. Colin Sexton, a lot of people they think they will not be able to pay and maybe does not make sense to pay. And he's going to be up for that extension soon. So what do you do with Colin Sexton? Where does he go? Colin Sexton's value probably is pretty decent right now. Those are the teams I think are in the forefront right now of a possible Ben Simmons trade, as well as Fitz. So Kings, Wolves, Warriors, Cavs, possibly Toronto in the mix. I think it's important to keep an eye on this Kings situation. I don't know that happens without De'Aaron Fox. I do think it's going to take a lot of value and or a star for the 76ers to make the move because at the end of the day, the 76ers haven't moved Ben Simmons thus far. So there you have it. That's my take on the Ben Simmons trade situation happening right now, something to keep an eye on. He has said he will not report to training camp. So will Ben Simmons be on the move before training camp? That's what we'll be waiting to see. This has been your Vover Tuesday NBA show. I'm your host, Justine Brown, and I will talk to you guys again on Thursday.